Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. As said, I'm Adam Molson from Form3. I started the company a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, with a group of other pretty amazing people. I used to work for a firm called Swift. So after 11 years, I quit my job there and actually created Form3 with one of my customers. This was a guy who'd been in banking for a very long time as a transaction banker and was previously the global head of cash management for Barclays. So we created Form3. Our vision is that we intend to power the future of payments around the world. Our headquarters is in London. Currently, we're 35 people. We're just about to close a funding round and should be around 100 people in the next 9 months. What am I going to talk about in the next 8 minutes? We could talk about lots of complexities and introduce lots of jargon around fintech and payments, but I want to talk about a single question and a single problem that impacts everybody in the world. It certainly impacts everybody in this country, and it's a major opportunity that I think the government recognized about 3 years ago when they created a new regulator. There's enough regulators in the UK, you should think, but a special regulator was created called the Payment Systems Regulator in order to create competition. So there's already a competition and market authority in the UK, but if you observe what they've done over the years, they generally have a protectionist kind of approach, you know, secure and protect the economy. Whereas the PSR was created under the FCA to stimulate competition. And part of that was about making access to payment systems and payments in general much more beneficial for end customers. And end customers are us, consumers, but also corporates. So this is the question I'm going to pose today, and I'm going to share a little bit of what I've learnt over the years, and especially what I've learnt the last 2.5. The question, very simply, is supposed to be quite provocative. As consumers, if you've got a bank account in the UK, you might think, this doesn't apply to me. I can send and receive money between myself and my friends, my family members. If I buy something, I can buy a car. As long as it's under £10,000, you could buy that car and pay for it within 5 or 6 seconds. But you really are in the majority. Consumer banking in the UK is pretty much free. There's not a lot of money made. If you are a corporate, you pay for everything. So whether you are a corporate in the UK, you're a corporate from overseas, you are being charged an amount of money for every bit of money that moves on your bank accounts. Now, why do I think that this question is important? The environment that we're in the UK is pretty special from a banking perspective, but it still comes with quite some constraints. The reason why I put members only on the previous screen is that one of the payment systems that's particularly important to this question, which is called faster payments, has a very limited access. There's only 24 financial institutions in the world that have access to this system. About 2 years ago, the number was 18. So 18 financial institutions in the entire world that could move money across this national system. And this national system was created 10 years ago. And it was created to allow the economy to move money instantly. Instantly means moving money from one bank account to another bank account in the country in under 10 seconds. But if after 10 years only 24 financial institutions can do that, that's not a great thing for the economy. If you think about the way that industry has changed, you think about how the real economy, so real business, is conducted today. What used to be very large, cumbersome procurement processes, like buying a car and spending £30,000 on buying a car, turned into a monthly subscription for the car, something that you would change every 2 years. In 18 months, no one is going to be paying £300, £400, £500 a month for a car. They're going to be subscribing to a mobility service from one of the biggest car manufacturers on the planet, like Volkswagen or BMW. And that subscription service will give their family or the couple whatever makeup of family unit they have, access to mobility services that make sense for their circumstances. So they're not going to be paying X amount per month. They're going to be paying X amount per journey, X amount per day, X amount per mile, X amount per vehicle per journey per day. And that's just one industry that's completely transforming. Airbnb, marketplaces, all of the industry around us that most of us interact with are completely changing. Yet only 24 financial institutions in the world can move money in real time on the sterling currency. There's 1,600 plus financial institutions that can't. And for them to be able to move money, they have to work with one of the 24 other institutions. That means that their experience, their cost, their speed, their technology is completely determined by one of those 24. This isn't a great place to be. This isn't a great situation to have when the economy is changing so rapidly. Financial services isn't really performing a service that's in line with the real economy. So there's an opportunity for change. The regulator's been put in place 3 years ago. The banks that provide these access services have now been mandated that they need to publicly announce what service they offer, who they offer it to, and under what conditions. Now, the reason that we created Form 3 was we saw this coming. We took a bet on a couple of things happening. One was the adoption of cloud technology. So we really honestly believe that cloud technology, public cloud technology, is mainstream already in financial services. It's just not talked about too much. It's massively mainstream in every other industry in the world, from healthcare to military to public procurement. 50% of the UK's government services run on public cloud. So we took a bet that financial services would go the same way. We also took a bet that we could take 35 really smart people that have kind of done this thing before in those 24 financial institutions, and we could build a new platform. So that's what we did. 2 years ago, we built a new platform, a cloud platform, a native cloud platform that delivers a technology capability to banks and to fintechs, whether they are from the UK, from the US, from Europe, but it's to move sterling currency in real time so that those financial institutions for themselves and for their customers can offer that service and compete with the 24 others that have been able to do that over the last 10 years. So we made that bet. That's what we've done. Our team built these services for Barclays and for others, but it was still a bet. As we heard earlier, there's quite some risk involved in building a new business, even if you've got the experience. And the service that we offer allows a financial institution that was previously one of these organizations working with a direct participant, a direct member, if you like, of the club, to then go direct into the scheme. Now, the previous members that did this would have spent between 10 million and 100 million pounds in technology projects to achieve that. Our projects are achieved at a fraction of that. If you come and see us at Stand 10, I'll tell you how small that is. And that's essentially because we've solved the problem once. We've built one platform, and then we make the platform accessible to many organizations. So every customer gets exactly the same experience. The accreditation, the audit, the risk processes that we implement within our business benefit all of our customers. So we undertake work so they don't have to. Our business model is on a transaction-based service model. It's not on selling software. No one wants to buy software anymore. No one wants to integrate software anymore. Companies want to solve problems. So that's what we do. We solve problems to move money, move payments on bank accounts, and we do that in the UK, and we do that in Europe. We've been running for 2 years, and we already have provided our service to some of the biggest financial institutions in this country. Unfortunately, we can't name them. But there are 2 of the top 4 banks that we've worked with where we've delivered real-time payments. One of those banks was already one of the 24 directly participating in our service. But they recognized that using the technology that they already had was going to be slow, was going to be expensive, and going to be ineffective for the project that they had. So luckily for us, they worked with us. That's great. So what did that project look like for us? It was a 2 to 3 week exercise, not a 2-year exercise. We gave them access to our platform, and they're the fastest implementation of our service ever. In 4 hours, they were integrated to our platform and were able to move money in real time. It was a proof of concept. Incumbents, so there are existing financial institutions that work in the UK that we've also worked with, and I'm going to tell you a few of them in 1 minute, because I know I'm running out of time. And also market entrants. So when we came to market, one of the first things people would say is, of course you're going to work with challenger banks, and of course you're going to work with fintechs. They're of course going to work with you. So one of the biggest challenges we've had as an organisation is saying, yes, of course we'll welcome and we'll work with those organisations, but we're a serious organisation creating a serious business for growth. So all of our customers get exactly the same service. All of our banks and fintechs get their own sort code, get their own addressable account numbers, get the same level of security, get to keep up with industry change that's mandated by the regulator, and get to work with us both in the UK, Europe, and overseas. So they have the opportunity to compete on a level playing field with the biggest organisations in the country. These are 5 companies that we've announced so far as our customers. We don't announce all of them. Ebury is the fastest growing FX firm in Europe. They have several hundred employees. They're in lots of different awards. N26, based in Berlin, is one of the most disruptive challenger banks across Europe, and if not the world. You may have heard that they're coming to the UK or are launched in the UK already. LHV is the biggest bank in Estonia, the second largest provider of pensions in the Baltics. MyPOS is the fastest growing merchant services provider in Europe, and Tandem Bank, hopefully you've all heard of. We are Form3. We are hiring. We're looking for business developers, engineers, operation staff, and customer success people. Thanks very much.